Welcome back to another episode of Scotty. I'm Scotty, that's...
Motty.
That's Gaz. No, doesn't really work. Obviously.
Gaz, it's a horrible name, isn't it? But I've got used to being called Gaz. Everyone calls me Ronnie when I grew up, because my last name was Whelan. It used to be me and another lad, Tony Whelan, used to call us the two Ronnies. So that's just, everyone calls me Ronnie. Some people still do.
Is it Gary or Gareth? What's it?
Gary. But no one ever calls me that.
We were talking about Gary's on the last week.
They're getting extinct. Gary's apparently there's no
the last
more,
of a
there's no more Gary's coming through.
Essex, I hate the name, but then again, your mum said just before I was going to be born, just before I was christened, I was going to be called Jamie, but I'm not a Scouser, am I? So no. But yeah, Gary, I don't like Gary. I never liked it. Gary, Gaz.
Yeah, there's no more babies being called Gary. This is what our mate called Gary. He works on the radio. He doesn't even know Gaz Drinkmore. But he did a thing, didn't he, where he was looking for new Garys, and it's a name.
He did a podcast on looking for new Garys.
Come on, he does a podcast on anything, doesn't he?
It's not a bad thing. No one ever calls me Ronnie. My dad used to call me dickhead all the time.
I think all three of us have got similar fathers.
Funny enough, my dad called me that as well.
But Gaz, honestly, it's a pleasure for you to have you on the show tonight.
Great, I'm beyond, I watch it all the time from Canada, seriously.
Yeah, because you live over, how long have you been over in Canada?
15 years too long.
Really?
Yeah, I'm coming back next year, probably.
What's it been like? What was the sort of cultural differences when you moved out? Or what was the reason first why you moved to Canada?
We lived in Australia for 4 or 5 years. And then a couple of incidents where we had my eldest son, Kofi, was born there. We had a few incidents that weren't nice, so we managed to go. So we moved back. And then we were going to move upstate New York and go all hippie-ish. Go up on a farm up there, do all the hippie thing. And we were waiting for the visa. So I had a friend who'd part-owned Chester City, but he was Canadian. And he said, oh, I'm back in Canada, I'll sponsor you for 2 years while you're waiting for your visa. So we did that, and obviously, just stayed. But my wife's from Bernese Leverhulme, so she also come back to all the family there. And, it doesn't matter where you go in the world, all your family and your friends are there, aren't they? So, the problem is every time I'm back in, I'm in the pub every night. Every night. Like back there, there's no, you go in the pub and there's just, I've got a mate from Burnage, Coltsey, but he's a Liverpool fan. I've got a mate from Glasgow, so I hate drinking with him. But I don't get out as much there.
Yeah, is it as nice as they say? The people are like they've got a reputation for being the nicest on earth, aren't they? The Canadians.
Yeah. When we first got there, you go to all the government, where you got all your stuff done, your ID and all that, and it's always people from the West Indies that work there. My wife said, "What's it like here?" Is there no racism and all that? She went, and the one went, "On the surface, but you'll find it."
Yeah,
really.
And we were like, "Really? Nah." But my son's had a few incidents there. And it's like people are nice. People in the morning they'll say good morning. It's like a bit old fashioned. Loads of space. Food's not very good. Nice. It's nice. It's pleasant. Crime's really low. There's no crime hardly where we are in the suburbs. But it's a bit dull.
Yeah.
But it's all right. But I've got. I watch all the football. We get all the Premier League games. We get all the games, so I watch all the games. And every morning I get up and I go sit on the front deck and I put you on the pot. And I won't say who else I put on. I put you and somebody else on. And I watch just to catch up with all the news.
And what do you make of United at the moment? Then obviously we're going through a bit of a transition. Glazers look like they're finally leaving.
You know what? That's one of the best news this year, isn't it? But who's going to buy it? I don't know what's going to go. I don't know, has Radcliffe got the money? We talked about it the other day, I don't know. Is he I don't know. Anyway, it can't be any worse, can it? As long as it's someone who's got, the club's interested in that, and it's not just going to be it's hard to say, innit? I don't know. It's a concern, but at least it's a breakthrough, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It's the best news, I don't know. Yeah, I think we're like kind of 3 steps forward, 1 step back out at the moment. But it's going to take time, isn't it? We're definitely going in the right direction.
100%. Do you like what Eric Ten Hag's doing?
Yeah, I hadn't heard of him until about a year ago. They started talking about him, and I decided to do a little bit of research on him. And he built 2 Ajax teams, didn't he? 2 teams, and they did really well. They play the right way. So the Dutch, Cruyff was one of my favourite players as a kid. The Dutch always do it right, don't they? So yeah, I think he's definitely the man. But I think there'll be a couple of headbutts in there, but we'll get there. I think definitely going in the right direction. Isn't it? Definitely, it's a pleasure to watch him now. Isn't it? At least they look like they're trying.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
No, it is. I get what you're saying. A pleasure, because it felt like at times the joy of going to United or watching United is just getting sucked out of us, wasn't it?
It was the escape from work, wasn't it? And you'd rather do your 9 to 5 rather than go and watch United under some of the managers.
Honestly.
Well, the night before, I get excited before every game, no matter who we're playing, no matter what game we're getting. And I wake up in the morning, and especially in Canada, because we get the games a bit earlier there, because we're 5 hours behind. You wake up and you prepare all your day around it. it was getting to the point where I was watching the game and I was doing other stuff, and I never do that. I watch the game, you know what I mean? But I was like, well, I'm not on my phone, I don't have a phone there, but I'm on my laptop and I'm doing other things and I'm walking around, and it just got, not because they were losing, just because there's just no effort. It's just boring.
So what's the earliest you had to get up, Gaz, to watch United in Canada then?
Well, the 5 hours behind, so sometimes the 7:30 game, it's like the half 12 game on a Sunday. But when I lived in Australia, the Champions League games were they were like 3 in the morning. Mm-hmm. We had a mate who was from Salford, who was a big United fan, so we used to get up and we used to watch him. Well, that was a bit weird. But yeah, no, 7:30's the earliest. But I don't mind. Or sometimes what I do, if I can't get up, because the way what they show it on there is a thing called The Zone, which you had it on. They don't have it now. It's another one I have now, Fubu TV or something. So I just put it on. I just avoid any text or anything, or So the score, I just put it on when I get up at night or something. What
is your sort of beginnings into United then? Is it a family thing why you become a United fan?
Yeah, well, I was born literally behind the Lowry. There's some houses there. I was born in a house there. As the crow flies, about, it was less than half a mile. And then all my family were Reds, all of them. Though my Uncle Bobby had played for, but at United didn't make it and went to City, and he's the only blue in the family. He lived in Moston, but even his son Lee was a United fan. He had the seat behind me at Wembley once by pure coincidence. And then all my wife's family were from Burnage, Levenshulme, the Levenshulme member to Burnage. All her family are Reds as well, so there's no blues in the family, extended family. None.
That's what you want.
And when I grew up in Swindon, there was a few City fans, but United fans, and then there was more Liverpool fans than City fans.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't know it. There hardly any City fans.
That was like when I grew up. There wasn't many City fans where I lived.
No. So, but I grew up in Levenshulme.
I grew up in Stretford to start with, which is obviously not that far. We used to walk to Old Trafford, and then I grew up in Partington, and that was mainly United fans.
I bet you know some Partington the other day.
Yeah,
we used to play football against teams at there was Flixton United who were nuts. They played in like a Stoke City kit. And there was Partington who played in blue. What they call Partington? They were nuts. I remember playing.
Yeah, it's.
But it's the same now in Salford.
Yeah, it's a funny area, Partington.
I've not been since I was a kid.
I grew up there. I loved it when I grew up there, but don't be, put it down or anything. But I'm glad we moved when I did.
I can't remember what it's like. I just remember it was nuts. Probably I don't know.
All the pubs were like shut. Because they just shut all the pubs one by one. So there was no pubs left.
Really?
Yeah, it was like...
the football team was just... Yeah. I don't remember the
area. I can't remember. Was it Partington Village?
It might be something like... They played in blue, remember that? And then there was Flixton United who were nuts as well. I don't remember the place, just remember the football teams. So I
remember when we was kids, we used to go and watch them. And it used to make me laugh because at half-time they'd all be drinking cans and smoking and that for their half-time.
Yeah, Partington Village.
That's just a referee.
Yeah.
Still going now.
Is it? Partington Village, yeah, because I remember when I was a kid got to watch them, it was always entertaining. I remember like they'd do things like they'd have mad brawls and that, and then the ref would give a yellow card and they'd be like, ref, you're ruining the game.
That's weird, that's something for Partington.
You're wrecking the game, ref. Like after they just one-arrowed someone, you're like, what?
Oh, it's the guy who's doing my tour, the promoter, he's from Partington.
Oh, is it?
I've not met that 2 people in 2 days. From Partington.
We get everywhere.
And when was your first time to Old Trafford?
You know what? I don't know my first game. My dad took me when I was really little to see Georgie Best play at the end. But I don't remember it, obviously. I remember him. He wasn't busy, and it was in the. My dad had seen ticket to K-Stand, but we weren't in the K-Stand for some reason. We was in the. United Road for some reason. I don't know why. I remember it being empty and him getting annoyed because I wasn't focused on the game. But I must have been like 3 or 4. But the first proper season we went was 74 when he was in the second division, or 75. 74, weren't it?
Yeah, 74.
So I was about
75.
7 or 8. And that was the first season we was in the second division. We went every home game in the K-Stand. So that was kind of the first time I remember. We used to park at the same spot and go, East Park is Capri, the same spot, the same smell for this factory. And then we used to make our way up, get by pie from the same place. We saw, flask of Oxo and some cold toast. Well, that was a long time ago, weren't it?
They're quite revered those days, though, aren't they, when United relegated? Everyone I know who went to that time saying
my
they're
dad
going home and away.
That was
the best
favourite,
season.
yeah.
I remember walking home back over the bridge into Salford and saying to my dad once, I can't believe Man United's my local team. He's like, they'll always let you down. That's what he said.
He wasn't wrong.
They've never cared about the fans.
Damn.
I remember him saying that.
And within the Mondays and all Rowetta's a Red, were all United fans in there?
No one's really. No, there was that. Well, Bez is a United fan. Bez used to go, but Mark, the guitarist, he's from the Far East. Failsworth, Troylston. So he's a blue, but he moved to Salford when he was about. They're 5 years older than me. So Mark's younger brother was in my year, and he was a Red, but Mark's a blue. But he's from Failsworth, and he's always been a blue, to be fair. Reuters and read. Sean and Paul Ryder weren't really into football. They didn't care.
Yeah. And what was the beginnings of the Mondays then? So how did you form?
Well, Paul Ryder started it, and then his brother Sean, and then Mark Day, and they were just playing around in a school near me. But Sean's wife, he was married then, her younger sister was in my class at school, and Mark's younger brother. And they got a band looking for a drummer. And I wasn't a drummer, I just had a drum kit. And I never drunk it up in my bedroom, and I never really used it. I just used to have a gentleman's review in the bass drum, so I hid it. That's what it got used. It got fuller and fuller. The sound got deader and deader.
Different sound.
Yeah. So I just used to use it for that. And then I played guitar, but I had an accident with my arm, so I couldn't play guitar. I just had a drum kit, and she said, "Oh, come down." And Sean had wanted to be a drummer. He started playing drums originally, and then give up. So then we just took it from there. But I was 15. I was still at school at the time.
That's incredible. And what was your? I can't imagine you sort of seeing where you go to with the band. Did you have any sort of like ambitions early doors? Was it just to start playing?
Just wanted to put a record out. We didn't have anything further than that. That was it. Just wanted to put a record out. We wanted to be on Factory, and no one else would have signed us anyway.
and then when you signed to Factory, I'm always, because I think the myth goes beyond like Happy Mondays, and I think the reputation of the sort of Bez and Sean, and obviously the well-known history of drugs and stuff, but the music sort of doesn't get the credit that I think it deserves. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but I've done all right, so I can't crumble. You know what I mean? But yeah, it does. But that's it does. It does with some bands. That's just the way it is. The Stones have kind of got that. I'm the Keith Richards, and he's not really like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had his moments, and we've all had our moments. But that's just the way the media and that just becomes a thing, doesn't it?
How long was it you were doing with the band for before you sort of thought, this is, beginning to take off, this is going to lead to something more?
We started
than
in 82, it's probably about 87 we signed, and 88 when we started getting like an audience. Leeds and London, we had an audience first. Really? It's funny because us and the Stone Roses couldn't get arrested in Manchester. Radio weren't interested in us, the press weren't, they hated us both, they hated both bands.
That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. And the two bands, I was away on holiday with Manny recently, a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about this, and he was saying, the Roses couldn't get anything. The press hated us, all the reviews hated us, couldn't get on the radio. We were the same. And we had an audience in London Leeds first, and then somewhere else, can't remember, somewhere else, London Leeds and somewhere else, yeah. Before we had people coming to see us in Manchester. Which is quite ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, because of how celebrated you are now and stuff like that.
Yeah, the same with the Roses.
It's mad, that. And what was that like when you sort of started to get recognition and you started to realise that this is,
It was good, but I couldn't go to United anymore because he was away all the time. that's when I stopped going.
Really?
Mostly home games. I didn't go to many away games. Because this goes to my mates, so they always got in trouble, and I need just too much for me. I couldn't be doing with it. And that was weird. And that's when I kind of stopped going. Because you're away all the time, and then having to try, and that was the days before the internet. I remember we had a gig in Norway. It was when Sky happened, so it must have been early 90s. And there's a Sunday game on Sky, and we was in Norway, and we asked someone in the crowd, or Bedford, if anyone was at the game on the day after. And some guy said, yeah, meet us at the hotel. So we come to our hotel, met us, and then drove us, and they drove for about 3 hours up into the middle of nowhere. They had this like little wooden cabin in the middle of nowhere. And we had the game on. They got all this raw fish and nonsense out. I was like, have you got any toast? So just give us beer while we watched the game. I think it was against Arsenal when we won. It was really bizarre. Really bizarre.
I remember living when I lived in India for a bit.
I was going to say you did something similar, didn't you?
Yeah, and we were living on like this like nature forest safari park. So I was living at the gamekeeper's house, but couldn't find Kerala. So
down south.
Yeah, down south. So and we were living in these tree huts. I think United were playing Fulham, and it was towards the end of the season. It was the same season when Makeda scored the goal.
Oh, 2009.
Yeah. So we're in this tree hut, but I was like, can I watch?
2008.
Was it 2008?
It might be 2009. I think.
No, it was 2009.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm wrong, guys.
It was the year after United won the Champions League, and because they were playing Villa, that was like to get 3 in a row. That's why it was so big. Was
that the equaliser? Equal the Scousers in Siles?
Well, no, but I think United were the first team to win the Premier League for 3 in a row because Chelsea didn't do it before under Mourinho. The year United won it in 2007, so it was like the first time that anyone had ever done it.
We did it, didn't we, in the 90s?
Yeah.
But the game, it's like James has a habit of doing that.
facts.
Yeah. Well, he likes our facts. He's got the computer up there. But yeah, so we're in this sort of like safari park and we're living in these tree houses. And I just said to like the main game, yeah, it was cool, man. But I said to the gamekeeper, United are playing. Can I come in your house and watch the TV? He goes, oh no, don't worry about that. And then he's brought this like proper 1970s big box TV. Climbed up these ladders, couldn't get a signal. Then he's got this wire all across the fucking up this tree.
Serious?
And the game was like 4 a.m. I fell asleep before kick.
There's a pub in Salford like that. Used to do that. Well, why isn't he used to have all the stuff in it? That sounds bad. That though. That sounds perfect.
Yeah.
What toilet facilities like though?
Buckets.
That's
what. Yeah. Buckets.
I'd love to go to Keller.
Yeah.
Some of Ayurveda and all that.
Yeah. Well, I went there and did like all the sort of like the massages and stuff. I had this random one where they put oil on your head.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But I had no idea about the woman said, I said like I suffer from anxiety. He said, just try this out. And it was downstairs and it's like really, like a snuff mover. Put me on this bed and it was just like oil dripped on my head for like 45 minutes. Yeah. But I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I was more confused than anything. I come out there like I've been working under a car.
You probably have.
There's the mechanics above. Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
You probably charge you for Ayurveda and they work on a car.
But you're into you're like me and you're into that sort of Eastern medicines and philosophies.
Yeah, I got into it. Well, I did an Ayurveda course. It was a four-year course. But it only lasted 2 years. It was just too much work. I've not done any homeworks in school. And it was just too hard. I just couldn't keep it up, so I didn't keep the thing up.
Yeah.
It's gone all Benny Hill on it. Yeah.
We know what you mean.
I couldn't keep up with it, and it's just too much. But yeah, we're into all the Asian yoga, not the yoga they do, all that nonsense now. I mean, lycra, but proper old yoga philosophy and all that. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
Gaz, was Tony Wilson a bit like that whenever you spoke to him? Because I know he was into the sort of caricature of him is that he's got all these philosophers that he's inspired by, and the way that he named the hacienda must be built and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, and he was kind of more into European philosophy and all that kind of thing. So he had a German background. His family were German originally. A lot of people in Manchester were German. I think Boddington's is Germany originally.
Really? I didn't know
because they owned all the mills.
Right, okay.
So a lot of the mills. So that's why some of us used to say it's like a cross between Berlin and Detroit, Manchester, which is a good, which I agree with. But no, he was into all that. He was into it. Weird. He had a season ticket at United. I went to United a couple of times with him. He was really into NFL, which people never believe. He was a massive NFL fan. And but no, kind of all that kind of. He was into. What was his famous philosophy? I can't remember. But he was into all that kind of European philosophy. But not Eastern philosophy, not that I knew of anyway.
Were the characters like they are portrayed? I mean, I think you went to the hacienda, didn't you? So
once. I was only like 16, just before it shut.
You were upset by the price of lollies or something?
I can't remember much about it. I just remember the lollies. They were selling lollies and it was about...
Lollies?
Yeah. Honestly, that's my only memory of it was that I bought a lolly. It was like... Must have been 95, 96. I was only about 16 or something. Yeah, it was literally... It shut about... For the final time, I think.
It shut 97, I think.
Did it?
June
right, okay. So I'm pretty sure I was only like 16.
I stopped going in one night.
I'd
go, but stop,
It wasn't like the hacienda that everyone knows. It was on its way out.
So if you compare the sort of early hacienda to the later hacienda when you only frequent...
There was never anybody in there. A few students, and they used to play, and it was cavernous and the noise was appalling. And we used to go on and they wouldn't let us in, but we had a factory card to let us in. And he'd say, where are you from? We'd say, Fallowfield. He'd go, no, you're not. We had a friend who was Fallowfield, so we said we were students. Fallowfield, and he had this address where Matt and Pat, who did our covers, had a flat, which became a mad party flat in the end. But so we'd say Fallowfield, and we got in, but we had our factory cards, so they wouldn't let us in. But it was weird, it was just students. It was always empty, until 86, 87. But it was great. We used to go on all the nights. Student night was a Thursday, I think gay night was a Wednesday night, Saturday night. Most nights. I think it was open nearly every night apart from Tuesdays. Yeah, Monday night I think Monday night might be the gay night. Tuesday night was the only night it wasn't open. I think, or the other way around, something like that. I can't remember. I was heavily sedated in them.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. And then obviously the explosion of house music and ecstasy. What was that like during them days?
It's the only 4 years I've not been admissible. It's only 4. My wife said, "For 4 years, only time when you went curmudgeon, miserable, moaning." So I said, "Yeah, I know." So that sums it up, doesn't it?
And the other characters at Factory, if someone asked a question about what it was like to work with Martin Hannett.
He was nuts. Yeah, Martin Hannett was I'd say he was kind of like the English version of, without the wigs, of Phil Spector. He was like a kind of Phil Spector. He was straight to tell the story where we had to pick him up to go to record the second album, I can't remember what it was called. And we had to pick him up to drive up there. We was going up to Driffield up in North Yorkshire. And the factory said, when you pick me and Paul Ryder, when you pick the high car up, Martin said, anything but a red, he hates red Fords. So we went to Salford Car Hire, Van Hire, and straight away went, give us a red Ford, obviously. So we picked him up, he was right outside the house, he went, you bastard. And he went, we're going to get on really well. And we got to this market town, so this was 87 or something like that, 88 maybe. And it was before the pubs were open all day, because it was a market town, it was market day, so the pubs were open all day. So we got there at 2 p.m. We were supposed to start the next morning doing drums and bass, that's why my Paul got up early with him. And he said, we're going to go in the pub for a pint, it's open, just because it was open. Yeah. I've got to go in the pub, it's open. And Mike went, I've not drank for 5 years. And we went in and Paul went, oh, you got Stella on draft. So we ordered 2 and Mike went, go on and and you could stay there all night, because the farms had come in and they didn't go out to the next day, so we drank right through to the next morning. The next day, the first day of studio was cancelled. Full day of drinking. So that's what, but he was great. He knew you'd quote Monty Python, he knew the next line. He knew it. He was really good. Me and Paul got on with him really, really well. He had this like low kind of lazy Sid James laugh, like dirty laugh. He was great. Loved him. He was brilliant. He had dark glasses on that he never took off.
Really? Yeah.
Never.
What was that? Have you seen the film? I take it 24-hour Party People. I mean, not. I was going to say because I think it's Andy Serkis plays him in that, doesn't he? And he's like, you can tell he just comes across as a bit of a lunatic, but
he was. He was never like lunatic with us.
Yeah, I think they cover in that. It's more when he's working with.
Joy Division. Joy Division and stuff like that. Yeah,
80s, late 70s. Sorry.
It's kind of.
But that film was known for being everyone I know who's seen that was part of that time. Just I've always said like it's such a comedy and caricature. It was nowhere.
There's parts, when nowhere
near the truth.
I've seen little bits. It looks pretty funny, pretty good.
There's a few cameos in it, isn't there? I think Paul Ryder's in it, and Tony Wilson's in it, isn't it? Sorry,
Clint Boone, Manny.
Yeah, there's quite a lot who were from that, but just not fancy watching that. Not bothered.
Yeah, I should do actually. Someone told me this the other day. I've seen bits of it.
Yeah.
I probably will do one day. I don't think my wife's ever seen it either. I've just never got. Because at first I thought I'll watch it and it'll do me head in because it's not, that all the untruths in it.
Yeah.
But it's not. I don't think it's supposed to be taken that seriously.
It's not at all.
There's points where they literally break the fourth wall and say,
"This never happened."
Yeah.
Is that thing when he said Manchester would do things differently here? It wasn't him, was it?
No, it was a Sky. It was Frank Cottrell Boyce wrote it. Who's a Scouser, but originally it was an American writer called J.B. Priestley, I think.
Really?
Who actually come up with the line. Yeah, it's like the what's the line? This is Manchester. We do different things. He goes, that was the past. They did things differently there, and it was a paraphrase on a well-known.
What's the guy called? What's the really famous.
There's one the John Wayne quote he does in it as well, isn't there?
Is it?
Oh, the John Ford.
John Ford.
Yeah, about if you've got a choice between truth and legend, print a legend. That's what he says about like.
Well, that's what.
Yeah. So like, even though some of this, because they admit like this didn't even happen. Like they literally say it to the camera, but it's like some of this, like, if you got a choice between truth and legend, we're gonna go with a legend.
Well, that's everything, isn't it? That's a lot of entertainment. Always as well. What's he called that? Mine's gone blank. The really famous American writer.
F. Scott Fitzgerald.
No, but really famously where always wore them white suits.
Mark Twain.
Mark Twain. I can't remember what his real name is. Mark Twain. Have you ever heard the Mark Twain quote about Manchester? Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh yeah, I'm going to use that.
Yeah. So Mark, it was something like, I'm paraphrasing. It was something like, Manchester would be a great place to die because the transition between death and life would be minimal.
Yeah.
Something like that, innit? Something along them lines.
Yeah. I think we've changed a little bit.
Yeah. It was Industrial Revolution.
Yeah. One of the best places on earth next year, apparently, according to National Geographic. Apparently, yeah. Really? Lonely Planet and National Geographic have Manchester in the top 20 places to visit in England, in the world.
I was about to say top 20 places to visit in the Northwest.
Yeah.
My kids love it. No, they've grown up mostly in Canada. They were 3 and 6 and they moved there, but they love it when they come back. I think it's great.
When you were part of the Factory and all the other bands that were sort of, was there camaraderie between you? Like, did you get on with each other?
Manchester bands, like in Liverpool, all the bands used to mix and match and all be friends. But Manchester bands kind of all just ignored each other.
Really?
But we got friends with a through rehearsal room, a certain ratio we become friends with, and we become friends with the jazz defectors, which were like, do you know the jazz defectors?
Yeah, no, the jazz defectors.
The jazz defectors, which were completely, couldn't have been more different than us, but we got on with them really well. They were in the next room, we used to play pool, and so them in a certain ratio became really good friends with. But apart from that, not many, no, we didn't really know.
Did you see much of Rob Gretton at all, Gaz?
Me and Rob didn't get on very well. We used to always argue about, because me and Tony used to argue about United, and me and Rob used to always argue about City. I don't think he liked us. I mean, I never have, I just didn't think, we always had a bit of friction when I saw him, so I didn't really get to know Rob that well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because I think in 24-Hour Party People it says you were Tony's band, whereas I think New Order were Joy Division were more Rob's band.
That I didn't know that, but that makes sense, yeah. But I just never really got on with Rob. Never thought I had any arguments with him or anything, but we got arguing once in the gay trade outside over football. He really hated United, so it never really. So it didn't end well. So there's a guy from the LA Times there reporting, and I think it ended up. Yeah, it didn't end up. Yeah. So we just didn't get on very well.
What was Manchester like then? Because obviously you've been, you were successful and then taken out of what was, we presume to be like grimmer than it was when we were growing up, and then you've got like this whole world view.
Yeah.
It was grim. It was pretty grim in the 70s. It was really like you come into town in midweek and it was dead. Sunday nights was dead. There's only a couple of bars open. And it's funny because one of my mates said, back in Manchester, they walked through town. I didn't know anyone, because you used to walk through town and you always met people from all different parts of the city that he met from going to town, to clubs and all that, and he said, I didn't met anyone. I didn't know anyone. But it's changed a lot. Oh, it's massive. It's completely different. No one lived in the city centre then. Completely different. And then in 87, when it was like the Summer of Love, that summer was properly like, I can imagine what it must have been like, the High Ashbury, that San Francisco thing. It really was. It was mad. It was really, everyone was really loving it. It was really sunny, really summer, and people were wandering around. It was bizarre. It was like a mini hippie thing. It was I don't want to sound cliche, but it was really beautiful. It was really, really, really nice. It was really, for a couple of years, it was really good, 87, 88.
What was your highlight, guys, when you was with the Mondays? What was the point where you look back at it with the most fondness, or a bit where you go like, that was amazing?
Ironically, probably playing Ellen Road of all places.
Yeah,
that was a good gig. But then playing things like the Maracana Stadium in Brazil was pretty good. And then and one for me was the first World Cup I really remember was '78 in Argentina. As a kid, seeing all that ticker tape in the stadium.
Oh yeah.
Seeing it, man, it just seemed like another planet. And then we played a festival there. I said to the guy, "Is this River Plate Stadium?" He said, "That's the stadium of the World Cup." And I was on stage and I was thinking, God, as a kid I remember looking at all this and I'm here. And that was really weird,
Yeah.
Especially because I had a Boca Juniors t-shirt.
Where's the worst place in the world that you've been?
Las Vegas.
Really?
I've been twice. I can't stand the place. Yeah, I hate Las Vegas. And my favourite place, but I don't know. Favourite place?
Barbados.
No, but it's nice Barbados, but no, not probably. I like Cape Coast in Ghana because that's where my father-in-law's from. In Italy.
Yeah.
Tuscany, I know, but Tuscany, Naples as well. But I just love Italy. My wife lived there before I met her, she'd been living there for like 8 years. I just love Italy.
She lived in Florence, didn't she?
No, she lived in Naples first and then Milan. But when she moved to Milan, because she was speaking Italian, but she was speaking in a Neapolitan dialect, and they're all like ribbing her. So so she has to learn to speak. But in, Florence is where they speak proper Italian.
Yeah.
Dante's Italian, they call it, don't they? Yeah. But I just love Italy. I love it. I love everything about it. I love the football. I love the culture. I love it. I just love the country. It's amazing.
Just wanted to ask, Gaz, how we were talking about obviously 24-Hour Party People. You said you've not seen it, but the story is in that film that you go off to Barbados to do that album, and you only come back with there's no vocals on any of the tracks.
Yeah.
Did that actually happen, or what?
Yeah, I think there might be
there?
vocals on 1 or 2 tracks, but they hadn't done the vocals. But yeah, I don't know. Someone said the other night, asked me a question. Said Tony flew over and saw someone walking out with a couch from the studio.
Yeah, because in the film you sold is it Eddie Grant Studios?
Yeah, he wasn't there. So. No, I think that kind of half true. There was 1 chair sold, but I remember I have no recollection of Tony coming over. I know he was supposed to, and I'm sure he got sidetracked in Miami. An American didn't come over. I'm sure he didn't come over. I'm sure he didn't come to Barbados, but I could be wrong. But I'm sure he didn't. I don't have no recollection of him being there.
There was a rumour that the Mondays were responsible for giving Piers Morgan his first ecstasy pill. Is there any truth in that?
He said, when we was in Brazil and he took us to see Ronnie Biggs, and then there's something he said about Bez did a barbecue, and then he got And he said, someone put something in my drink. What's a nonsense?
It's not like Piers Morgan. What's a nonsense? I'm shocked at that one, Gaz.
Nonsense.
Hey?
And
You sure?
And Bez didn't do the barbecue. I don't remember being a barbecue. Oh, it's nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
What's the worst story that you've actually seen written about you on the Mondays? Is anything that sort of really...
Oh, there's tons. Absolutely tons. Loads. Once we did we played Madison Square Garden with Jane's Addiction, supporting him as our American label because we weren't playing the game. We were going to kick us off, so they got us this gig at Madison Square Gardens, which was a big deal, and they all flew over from LA to watch us. But so we were on supporting. We were on at 8 o'clock, and everyone was there, and it was full. And we were doing well. We'd had a #1 dance hit in America, which was it was a big deal. But we refused to go on. It wasn't Johnny Carter, one of the chat shows, because they wanted to wear all this Dayglow stuff, and Jesus Jones got on instead and was successful. We wouldn't compromise, no way we were doing it. So they said, this is your last chance, you know, this gig. But we was in the hotel, and we went down to the bar before, and Tony Curtis was there, so we were like, oh, we'll have a drink with Tony Curtis, and we ended up just drinking with him. He was ace. But everyone went off doing their own thing to a couple of pubs, and then it got pretty late, and then me and Sean sat with Tony Curtis, and he said, what time are you on? We said, we're on at 8. He said, it's 10 to 8 now, something along that line. So we ran out and jumped to the cab. We're travelling down to, it was across, it was probably about 9 blocks, which is the side of Midtown. And we got there, and me and Sean were like, oh, everyone's going to be kicking off. What was kicking off is we're never going to be the last of it. And we get there, we should have been on at 8, and we got there at 8:15. Me and Sean were into the dressing room full of apologies, and we were the first there. Really? The rest of the band hadn't made it. So they all turned in one by one, and we ended up going on stage. We were doing an hour set. So we were 8 till 9. We went on at nearly 5 to 9. Just after 10, we did one song for 7 minutes. And after that record company just went, that's it, you're done.
Really?
Elektra Records, yeah, they were done. And they had the Doors, you know what I mean? So that was the end of us in America.
Bloody hell.
True story, that. Oh, that's true.
When did you start to think like this is, or when did it happen that it was sort of winding down or it was splitting
From
up?
the start, we all started from the very start.
As soon as you got together.
It could go tits up any moment, any day. That's all. Can you swear on it? No?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, fucking hell.
There's no Ofcom on here.
Yeah, don't worry about
I
that.
can't remember. I'm thinking watching you, but when I watch you, I was thinking, I don't remember any swearing.
No, we do swear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But we went to Barbados, it was all kind of fun. We'd all, with bands, when you're together all the time, and then you all get girlfriends and you all start doing your own thing, and you come back together and you start irritating each other. You need a bit of space, you don't get that space, and then throw other things into the mix. Yeah, I think Barbados, I knew it wasn't going to last much after that. But it wasn't. I remember Barbados fondly. I had a really good time there. Really good time. We did the first couple of weeks, and then my girlfriend, who's now my wife, came over, and we went in a house in the middle of nowhere. But we used to go back every day to visit, and they were and like we'd had eight hire cars, and we'd written them all off. So we had no cars. And the roads were bad, but they actually were.
Yeah, it's the roads.
But it was in the middle of nowhere, because Barbados, all the holiday resorts are down the Caribbean.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And we were on the other side of the Atlantic. That's where kind of all the locals live, and we was there and on the south to the. So it was in the middle of nowhere. And then remember, it must have been about 2 o'clock in the morning, and we'd gone to the studio. We'd been out with me, my wife, girlfriend, and we'd come out of the studio to drive back to the middle of Barbados where we rented this house. And she went, "Is that Paul?" I went, "Where?" She went, "Down there." I went, "Where?" She went, "On that donkey." I went, "What?" And I looked down, and he'd got a score on it. He got a donkey from the field, and he was riding the donkeys. And he got a farm because he used to live. He used to have this great. Him and his wife bought this great chateau in northern France, and before we went to stay with him when the Olympics was on, what was that, 2012 or something like that, somewhere around there, wasn't it? Yeah. And she said he was clean then. He'd been clean for a long time. She said, but when we first got here, he had to go to, I think Dieppe was the first nearest port. That's about 30 miles away. So we took the car keys off in motorbike, so he couldn't get there. There was no money, so he couldn't get. And she said, but one night he went missing, and we couldn't find him. But one of the donkeys out of the field had gone missing, and we found him a few miles down the road. It's on the donkey, so he's got farm on donkeys. Trying to go. God bless him. He's the best mate, mate.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
I can't believe he died this year. You just can't believe it. He's just, and he's one of the one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. Really, really, really funny. One of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. Really dry, really funny. Yeah, I'm getting all upset now.
Oh, no, don't move on. What, when you were going into the studio, did you have any sort of plan of action for making new tunes? How did it work? What was the writing process with Mondays?
Well, we always planned having 10 songs an album, so we usually go in with usually 8 or 9 and a couple of ideas that we'd work out in the studio, maybe with the producer stuff. So that's what happened on Pills and Frills. With the one in Barbados, we got caught short. We only had about 6 because New Order don't have an album for a while. Factory signed loads of bands. I mean, that myth that we broke Factory financially was complete nonsense.
Yeah.
It sounds really exotic, Barbados, and it is, but the studio costs no more than doing it anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because the studios weren't that great, so they had to bring stuff in from Miami sometime. But it wasn't that. It was expensive. It wasn't much more expensive than. Would have been more expensive than going to say Real World, where Peter Gable's studio, where a lot of people went. It wouldn't have been all that different. They just wanted us to get us away. You just didn't know that there was a load of crack there. I didn't know that. So that was a bad move.
Was that right? Because in the film it says that Tony sent you to Barbados to get Sean away from the drugs, and then was unaware that crack was.
Yeah, I mean I remember us coming to see us in November. And said you've got 3 choices for the album. You can do it in Manchester. It was going to record in January. Don't forget. You can do it in Manchester, Amsterdam, or Barbados. I went, well, Amsterdam's not a good idea, is it? Manchester's not, because there'll be loads of people. So Barbados, it was like Barbados hot, and so yeah. So we no one knew that.
Yeah.
No.
And in terms of the Monday sound, you always felt a little bit left field to everything else around that time, in Manchester and stuff. Where were the influences for the sound?
You know what? Our influences were right across the board. From just throwing names, you know, from Louis Armstrong to Echo and the Bunnymen, Grace Jones. Well, everything, absolutely. We used to have cassettes and it was everything, from Bob Dylan to Funkadelic. Funkadelic and Sly and the Family Stone were a massive influence. Yeah. Massive. We used to listen to a lot. And the Stones, Sean was big on the Stones, I was big on the Beatles. Paul was just pure funk. All 70s funk. Paul was playing the OJs, the Dramatics was a big band he liked. So there was always that Northern Soul. They was before my time, but Sean was old enough to remember that. And Mark the guitarist was into rock music, which we all hated. But if you made it different, probably if you came in and played funk, would it sounded like fucking level 42. So it probably made it better.
Yeah,
no,
that's fine. Swear away.
No, you can tell though. It's such a mix, and
it's such an eclectic sound that comes from Mondays compared to the others.
It's this or it's that. It's so many different.
Absolutely everything, but I remember, everything.
Jay almost appeared in a Mondays video.
Yeah, I was cut. I was cut, man. I'm glad you brought it up because I didn't know whether to bring it up or not. But yeah, when I was a kid, my dad's mate, a guy called Keith Joblin, was like, "We're filming a."
Yeah, I know Keith.
Yeah. So he said, "We're filming a video. We need a load of kids for this band called the Happy Mondays." And I think it's Legend. I think it was called.
Yeah, it's Legends. Yeah, Sunday morning. With the kid, yeah.
So he says, "Come down here. We're going to film this video." And like, obviously, I was about 9. Just like, yeah, get Jay involved and all this, right? So did this video, wrote for luck, didn't know anything about it, didn't know, was only a kid. Forgot about it, right? Anyway, literally about 20 years later or whenever, a couple of years ago on YouTube, someone tweeted it, the video. I was like, I was in that video, watched it, nothing. Not in it at all, nothing. I was like, didn't make the cut, man.
Oh, so you're there, but you
but I didn't make the final cut.
I've never seen that kid.
Yeah.
I remember it was a Sunday morning because we got there, they were just shipping everyone out. Well, Keith and Phil, the 2 Geordies, they came up with the term Manchester.
Really?
Yeah, so 2 Geordies came up with the term Manchester. We used to call them 2 Tyne and Wear. That was our nickname.
Because I remember he was ace Keith Joblin. He was dead friendly, dead bubbly. He was like, oh yeah, come down here, you love all this. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm in that video. I nearly tweeted it saying I'm in this video, and I watched it first, and I'm like, oh, I'm fucking not.
I'm a bit like that with the videos, yeah. I'm a bit like in there.
Gaz, what were your drumming influences on songs like God's Cop especially? You've got quite a prominent role. I was just wondering, you mentioned about the other influences before. Is more of like that towards the Chicago house scene around the same time?
Disco played. Me and Paul really into disco. Paul has a couple of years with me. I love disco music. Seriously, I love disco music and so I had more soul and gospel. I liked. My dad was into Elvis and Little Richard and. My dad really liked Isaac Hayes, and when he was a kid in his Capri, he used to have this cassette and he used to play Isaac Hayes all the time. And in this gospel album that I forgot his name. I'm losing my mind, mate. What's it called? The blind pianist.
Oh, Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder.
No, the other blind.
Ray Charles.
Ray Charles.
Thank God there's only two of them.
I can't believe it. Yeah, we went with the wrong one there. There's only two. We got it wrong.
They chatted loads of like gospel stuff, so I loved all that and soul music. But drumming, it was all that rock. I mean, I love Keith Moon because he's great, but all that kind of rock that never turned me on. It was always grooves and funks and Clive Summerfield with James Brown and all that. That's funk drumming still to this day. Proper grooves.
Yeah,
and funk. Just blows my mind how they do it, and they're just so good at it. And they're all ex-jazz drummers, but I love all that funk soul. But then Peter De Freitas and the Bunnymen was a massive influence. But Donald Johnson from ACR.
Dojo,
he's there.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah,
came down and he taught me loads because they was across the room and he used to go in and he used to show me loads of funk licks and all that. And then I kind of did a punk version of him because I wasn't that. Because he was like really into it, It's
quite intricate in here.
Yeah, and I was never into the technicalities of it because I wasn't that into in drums. So I kind of just did like a kind of sloppy punk version of it, which is good because then I created my own kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, your own style.
But so funk drums and soul drumming I just love. If you watch some funk drummers and that's why they use it in hip hop, it's just amazing, just the grooves.
And you're doing your own solo stuff now. What was the sort of thinking behind that?
Well, when I come over from Canada, so I'd be over for I'm here like 6 months of the year, so I'd be over for like 2 months, and we'd have like 3 gigs.
Right.
So I couldn't fly back and forth all the time. So I'd be able I just have nothing just to keep me out of the pub. So I picked my guitar up about 10 years ago, probably a bit longer, 50 years ago. I started playing again. I just wrote a few songs for me, nothing because I'm kind of really Leonard Cohen's kind of my bag, and listen to all albums that when I was a kid that I grew up with, and like Rastaman Vibration, Bob Marley, and listened to all the acoustic. But then every time I tried to do a Bob Marley cover, I just sounded like Ricky Gervais and Finger Quality Street. So I just left it. But and then just wanted to do a few gigs, and then I've only started taking it seriously the last year or so, really. And I actually like it. I didn't really like playing live because I'm happy to be at the back playing drums. I don't really like being at front, everyone looking at me. I'm not, I get anxiety. I suffer from anxiety like it. But anxiety, depression, OCD, and all that stuff since I was a kid. So I didn't like it being, but I've got used to it now. But still, even me and Mike, who's a guitarist I do it with, and last night I sat down and I shoved him at the front, let him go at the front. And I said, I'm fine with that. But I actually enjoy it now. And I like writing songs, but I've never had any ambition to force them on people or try and get anywhere with them. I just do them. But the reviews have been really good, so just carry on doing it and see what happens.
Yeah, it's brilliant sound, really, really, really good. Where can people find it who are watching and other stuff?
I don't know. Mike knows all that. So that's how organised I am. I'll just go to our YouTube channel, Gaz Whelan YouTube, and then there's links from there, or the Twitter thing, Gaz Whelan Music on Twitter.
We'll put a link in the description. Yeah, we'll slam a link in the description.
It's on that Spotify.
Oh, that's Spotify.
My mum said it again tonight. She said, she's going to some Christmas do. I said, how are you getting there? She went, I'm not getting a taxi. We're getting one of them hummuses. And I said, do you mean an Uber? She went, oh, that's the one. I get them all mixed up.
What's Christmas going to look like for you guys? Are you back in Canada or are you
I go back to Canada for Christmas, yeah. So it's really quiet there. We don't really have Christmas because it's just me, my wife, and the 2 boys. So we're going to Toronto to coach with my mate, who's a lad from Burnage. He works for Snow Patrol, so I don't know if he's away. I think he's home. And then that'll be it. We're probably going to, because we live in the suburbs, probably going to Toronto and spend some time with Coates. Watch the football.
Do you get to watch much MLS over there, that Toronto FC or not?
I've been. I don't like it. I've got actually because of my son. I've got into basketball and NFL because my son's doing. The son Kofi is doing sports journalism, so he's upset. He just sits in his basement watching. I can say with his bongs. It's legal over there, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's legal. We don't have off licenses. We have weed licenses too. Really? But my street is an off license, a weed place. It's crazy. It's great. It's great. I'll never take it here, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
But so he like Saturday to Sunday, he just plots up. He gets his pizza, and he has all his scorecards. He does all his things. He watches all day NFL and basketball, but he knows every player, every fact. They don't even really like football. I took him to United a couple of times, and he never.
No, not having it.
He'll tell me he'll follow the football and tell me the scores, but he just doesn't watch it. It's really sad. I've got 2 sons and they don't even like football.
I always wonder with America and Canada whether they don't like football as much because it's not as high scoring a game. When you got that basketball and NFL, it's
something happening constantly in those sports.
That's what my son says. Not enough goals. That's what he says.
Take the goalkeepers out of the game.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said. And he used to play and he was pretty good. He was pretty good because the youth football is really good over there. It's not cheap, but it's really good. And he used to play. And then he was a massive Ronaldo fan, so when he left United, he started liking Real Madrid, and then But yeah, that's exactly what he says. He's not enough goals. I say it's not all about the goals.
Yeah.
I just when I see a pass blows it for me. A great pass, a midfield pass that splits the defence doing that. I find as much ecstasy in that as I do from a goal.
Who's your favourite United player, Gaz?
Of all time?
Yeah.
It's got to be Georgie Best, hasn't it? But
yeah.
There was a kid, it was Willie Morgan. I wanted to be Willie Morgan. He was with player, but Georgie Best. But then probably I'd say the best. Robson's got to be the best servant. I remember watching Robson. He was like in the 80s. Robson was phenomenal. But everyone has different opinions of players, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, Robson, I think pretty everyone,
Everyone of a certain age says Robson.
We take Keane, don't we? Because we're just on the cusp.
I'm a little bit torn, but I was a bit too young for Robson. I sort of got the back end when
and Keane as well. Yeah. Keane and Cantona was just amazing. But as a kid, youngster, it was Best had left. I didn't really see him. And Willie Morgan, and then it was kind of the Stuart Pearce and Steve Copley era was kind of when I was really young, and that's. Can I say the Matt Busby story?
You can tell Matt Busby, please
do. True story. I've told it before. It's true. So I was in the scoreboard, not in the K stand, but actually in the stands, not in the seat. And we was playing. I'm pretty sure it was Everton on a Saturday, and I was about 13, and I'd gone with a few of my mates, and they were throwing stuff over it. It kicked out. I remember shouting something. I remember swearing, going "fuck it!" And the steward said to me, "Stop swearing. You're too young or something." And I said, "Oh fuck off!" And he dragged me out. And he threw me out of the ground. But there was only like 15 minutes to go. So I started walking round, and I was near where you used to go in. Remember, you used to go in as I don't know if it was, you're probably too young. As a junior, was next to the old souvenir shop. Used to go in there near the scoreboard end. And I walked out there and I started walking around to meet my mates, because a couple of others were in the Stretford end. They used to go to the cage, so I used to meet them down there. And I started to walk around. And I was literally crying. I had tears in my eyes. I was kind of like, I can't believe what I've done. And this steward had thrown me out, and he'd upset me. I got, probably because of anxiety, I got a bit upset. And I was crying. I'm not ashamed to say. Yeah. And I was and I heard this voice behind me, this Scottish accent, say, "What's up, young man?" And I went, "Oh, nothing." And I looked around, and there was a group of about 5 or 6 men, older men, in long coats and hats. And one was smoking a pipe. I remember that. I don't know, it wasn't him, but someone else. I remember that was really weird. And I said, "Oh, no, nothing." I said, "What's up?" So I said to him, "You're really soft-spoken Scottish accent." I said, "Got kicked out for swearing." He said, "Well, why were you swearing?" I said, "Well, because they were throwing things." He said, "How old are you?" And I said, "I'm pretty sure I was 13." So I said 13. And he said, "Oh, well, you shouldn't have been. So I said, "Well, no, but I'm going to meet my friends round at the Stretford end, and if I lose them, I've got to make my way home on my own, and I'm going to get..." I was hamming it up a bit. He went, "Come with me." And we walked round, and we got to the turnstile. And they were kind of opening, just before they opened the gates, because they used to open the gates last 15 years.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he said I remember he spoke to some guy in the turnstile, I knew his name, he said, "Hey, Jim, let this young lad in and make sure he goes up to wherever it was, I think it was the left hand, the cage, up to there, take him up there, make sure, before you open, I remember him saying before you open the gates." And he went, "Okay." As I walked through, the bloke had a hold of me, he was holding me collar like that, and he was taking me up, and he said, "You know how lucky you are." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "For Matt Busby to get you back in the ground." And I went, "That was Matt Busby." And he just didn't dawn.
He didn't even know at all.
And he went, "Yeah, you're a really lucky fella," you know what I mean? And he said something like, "You'll have a story to tell." And he took me up, he took me right to where my mates went, and I'll never forget that. And I was like, "Matt Busby just got me back in the ground." And I went, "Nah, fuck."
Yeah, one of them ones. Of course he did.
Yeah, he did. And I remember he used to have his car, Busby used to park his car outside the ground on match day. He had remember the scimitars? Remember them now?
I don't know really.
These 70s. So there's these cars in the 70s, like, I don't know who made them. Someone will know. Called scimitars. They're like these sports. There's always in like yellow or burgundy. They're like these. They look like a bit of. I'm probably way out here, but like a bit of a big Porsche. It's hard to explain. They were big sports cars. They were amazing. I loved them.
We were going to be always sort of seeing like the Nevilles and gigs with Oasis, didn't you?
Yeah,
like, the gigs. I'm just wondering, was there anything with any sort of interaction there?
Peter Schmeichel came backstage to one of the gigs. I mean, I knew Giggsy because he played at the same junior team as me,
right?
And in the same area. But Peter Schmeichel came to one of the gigs, but and he gives me a pair of gloves because my mate, who was a City fan, used to teach him drums. And he gave me a pair of gloves, signed them, we had him on the wall. The day he signed to City, my dad took him down. Nice. And I remember going in the Lake District on holiday, and it was a derby game, and I didn't go, and it was at Main Road. Pretty sure it was even Main Road then. And he was commentating, he kept saying, "We've got to do better, we've got to do better, we've got to do better." And I'm like, "Oh, we're not doing too good." He said, "Oh, United are going to score." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, and ever since then. And then I've got a great best Cantona story actually. I met Cantona once because when that house in Worsley after done the kung fu kick, it was about 6 doors up from my sister. She still lives there in that house.
Oh, right.
She still lives there. My brother-in-law was a big red. Said like one day he was in the garden and Cantona walked past all the kids and said, "Is it okay if I take your kids' football on?" My brother-in-law was like, "Yeah, of course." But Bez had a bad accident in Scotland. He tried to race the world champion motorbike on a Ducati for some magazine. It was called Carl Fogarty. He was doing the thing for him, and Ben said, "Come on, I'll race you." Nearly killed himself, and he was in hospital for about 3 months, really bad way. And a few people who he knew Cantona, and I think Bez had met Cantona on something a couple of times. And at the hospital, the phone goes. Bez answers, he's got Cantona, and Cantona's on the phone. He says, "It's Eric," and Bez goes, "Oh, fuck off, Macca. Fuck off, man. You're not you doing it. He wouldn't have it." And he put it down twice. and he said, "No, fuck, I'll put it," and that was it. And he said, "No, it's Eric." And he's like, "Fuck," and put the phone down. And later that day, so he said, "Did you speak to Eric then?" He went, "What do you mean?" He went, "Cantona, how can he number to phone you?" And he's like,
"Oh, no."
And we did a gig in Serbia once, early 2000s. And it must have been the international break. I didn't know. We were playing this castle with Serbia. I think Gary Moore was headlining. And we got to the hotel, Rowett Hotel. So we went down to the basement. It was like kind of a hotel bar small. And Vidic was there with his wife and a few of his mates. And we was talking to him. And he was just stunning. Beautiful man. Yeah. But just stunning, just so nice, really gentle and just lovely. We spoke to him for ages. And he gave me his mobile number. He said, "When you get back to Manchester, give me a call." And I didn't have the bottle to have a call him.
He always comes across well, those Vidic interviews, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Considering how he was on the pitch, quite chalk and cheese.
Him and his wife were dead understated, you know what I mean? They were just lovely, really nice. Really nice. But I didn't have the bottle to call him.
It was Reliance that made the...
I thought, you know what, it crossed my mind now.
Reliance.
I thought it might have been Reliance. You know what, just because they've got a picture of them. They're great. I'm sure, I thought it
We'll be able to edit this in, put a picture on the screen.
Yeah, I'm sure they can see.
Yeah.
I thought, it crossed my mind it was a Reliance. My granddad always had freewheeler Robin Reliance because he only had a motorbike licence. Yeah, I thought it was Reliant. Yeah, they were great scimitars.
I'll have to add that in. After I edit out the other bit as well, remind me.
So where are you playing next? You got a couple of gigs in Manchester while you're over here?
Yeah, I've got one in Tilsley on Thursday, which is Tilsley. It's not far, just outside Worsley, between Worsley and Lee. It's a good venue up in Hazelwood. It's a good venue, a lot of people. And then I've got one on Friday at the Lions Den in Manchester. I didn't know existed, which is mate. Have you been?
No, I've heard of it.
Great place. I didn't even know it existed. It's on Deansgate, where the Great Rail. What's that big cinema called?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But you go in there, you go up the stairs. There's all these bars, and there's one called. And you go in, and you go. It's a little bar, great bar. You go upstairs. They've got this venue. It's like this room, like probably big. This massive stage. It's fantastic. And we did a bit of pre-production there, so I got that on Friday. And I've got a break until a week on Sunday. That's Liverpool. I always like play Liverpool as well. I've got a lot.
You're a big fan of Liverpool music, aren't you?
Yeah, I like Liverpool as a city, and I'm not one of them Reds who hates Liverpool.
I don't think we like Liverpool as a club or
Liverpool. I don't have that. And Mike, my partner, who guitar, he's an Evertonian, but I just don't, and I don't know why that is. I don't. I hate City more. So I know this is rare, but I prefer Liverpool to win the league than City.
I've got a few mates like that. A few mates who are just like, I don't know, something about City and the fact that Liverpool. I mean, I'm not like that.
Most aren't.
I'll be honest with you. But there's a few like lads I know who go to the game and everything, and they're like, do you know what? There's something about like Liverpool, you hate them, but you can kind of respect them.
Yeah, that's.
Do you know what I mean? You can kind of go, all right, yeah. Like they're a big club. They've always been there and thereabouts. There's something about
There's a reluctant respect. Yeah.
Where with City, there isn't that sort of respect. It just feels like the gate crashing the party almost.
That's word for word. I couldn't say it better.
I've got
exactly what it is.
a few lads I know who are like that, because I'm not. I'd be like, would rather City win the league or whatever. Than Liverpool. But my mates like, nah, do you know what? Like, even when it was them two going toe to toe, they were like, nah, can't do anyone but City.
I just say there's only one team I really dislike, and it's the only team I really dislike to City. And then I don't like Arsenal either.
No one likes Arsenal, do they?
But City, I really.
They're always met to me. I'm not.
I get that.
You know what I mean?
There's something about him that's just.
I lived in London for a few
annoying.
years. We used to go to this pub, and it was and the landlord was French, but he was a Liverpool fan. His wife was French, but she was a United fan. But everyone in the bar we used to go, and there used to be a couple of Spurs fans, a couple of Arsenal fans, quite a few QPR fans. That was local. Crystal Palace fans. And Crystal Palace, I've got a soft spot for them. I always have liked Crystal Palace. And everyone used to have. I'm not even going to say that word, but we all had a bit of a laugh at it. Going when we hammered him. I think was it 6-3 or something. Would have been 2000, something like that.
6-1.
There was a 6-1 at Old Trafford, yeah.
Was that in 2000?
When Dwight York scored an hat-trick.
Yeah. He got really aggressive and angry. He started throwing things at me and left the bar and never come in again.
Really?
And then a few Everton fans Arsenal fans over the years who just really, just couldn't take a joke, couldn't have fun with him.
Yeah, there's a real lack of sense of humour, isn't there? I think with that.
Yeah,
it seems to be. I know it's hard to group everyone together.
Nah, but I think. I don't know if you like, my brother's a little bit like, I'm like younger, he's a lot younger than me, and there's a lad who works here, Ronaldo Brown, and I think for younger fans as well, a lot of them hate Arsenal more than...
Really?
Yeah, right.
Why is that? Do you think that...
I don't know, well, I think there was that...
Do you think because they grew up during the Wenger, Ferguson, where he grew up in Liverpool?
And also the online stuff.
Oh, yeah,
that's, you know, Arsenal fans are everywhere online, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? You can't get away from them. Whereas if you're not that fussed about it, like, you know, I can take it or leave it, but...
No one really, but just sit, I don't want to, I can't, like, I struggle. My dad was the same, struggled to even watch derby games.
Here's a question for you then, Gaz. Pep Guardiola's just signed another 2-year contract.
2 years? Is that all?
Would you rather City won a Champions League and Pep left, or Pep stayed for the rest of his career at City but they never won a Champions League?
Yeah, the latter.
I'd take that. I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't
want to win anything. But I think they will win the Champions League this year.
Sooner or later,
they have to with that. I mean, it's inexcusable, isn't it? Really?
I've got to admire the way they play, but the defence is shaky. But you've got to admire the way they play. Foden's phenomenal, isn't it? I think he's a phenomenal player. You've got to, you know. But I just, But I always say, like, I always said to Noel Gallagher, like, you're not a big club until you won the Champions League. You're really not, are you?
It's true.
I'm going to keep hammering that until they do, because it could be this season, so keep bragging about it.
That's the only straw we're holding on to at the moment. Right, before you, have you got another question, James?
No, I'm just saying, can we wrap up?
Yeah. Cheers, producer. James. Right, I'll ask one more question, boss. Right, well, 3 questions. Favourite Mondays tune?
Yeah.
Which one?
Angel.
Favourite musician of all time that's not in the Mondays? Who you like listening to?
Leonard Cohen, probably.
And favourite song of all time?
What's Going On, Marvin Gaye.
Cool, man. Gaz Whelan, thank you so much for joining us tonight, man. That was a top laugh.
All the time in Canada. I have to watch myself back now, won't I?
Yeah, we'll send you over. When's it going out?
After the amount of editing I've got to do tomorrow.
Yeah. Fair enough. James, thank you very much for well behaving. James is very hungover today. He's had a bit of a messy weekend.
Big shout out to James Young, our producer there.
I think I've met him before somewhere.
Where?
He's a man about sound, James Young.
We've probably seen each other pissed at some point.
He's usually walking around carrying someone else's McDonald's up and down Oxford Road.
Dodgy saunas.
Dodgy saunas. Yes, he does. Right. I've been Scotty, that's been Motty, that's been Gaz Whelan. If you're watching now, can you give us a like and subscribe? We'll be back again.
We'll have a Patreon video out as well later on this week, so there's a link in the description. Make sure you check out Gaz's music as well. There's a link in the description for that as well. And a big shout out to our producer, James Young.
Cheers, man. We'll see you soon.